in. That's going to be enough on that because I'm hot. This is a hot seat.
Okay, so what hot seat means you guys get to ask any question that you want to ask, as far as from a why you need a media coach, branding questions, whatever you have for Christy. She's in the hot seat, so make sure that you are dropping your questions in the chat. I feel, Christy, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I feel like a kid in a candy store because I get to pick the brain of the Christy Taylor. You guys don't understand. I grew up listening to Christy Taylor, so it's definitely an honor to pick a brain of someone with your type of not only influence, but you're well respected by the community, and you are eloquent. You don't. You're authentic, but I feel that you don't overshare. Okay, so do you want to go ahead and get this hot seat started? Because I have my first question. I have.
Okay. I want to say this. Thank you very much, dear Shamika, for having
Uh,
me back. And for those who know, she had me at the end of last year, and we went around the mulberry bush and never did even get into some of these things. She allowed me to tell a portion of my story. And part of what we want to do tonight is to dig deeper into what I do post radio as a coach and consultant in the media communication and creative advisement space. So I'm ready for the rapid fire. Please drop your questions in the chat. This is an opportunity. FYI, if you were doing normally a 90-minute session with me, that would be $500. So she's giving you a $500 value on tonight to ask your questions, because I'm giving you 30 to 40 years of my expertise in the next 30 to 40 minutes. All right, let's go.
Absolutely free. So, authenticity versus oversharing. How do you know when you're just being, because a lot of people will say, I'm just, you know, I'm just telling my truth, I'm being authentic. And I feel personally it's a fine line between being authentic and sharing your truth and being transparent versus oversharing. So with people who have a brand, where do you know, how do you know what's too much and what's not enough?
I love the fact that for like 30 years, we were all about keeping it real, speaking my truth. I'm just telling y'all what it really is. Yet, if you are trying to communicate to a particular person or an audience or a buyer, they need to know, how is it relevant to them? How is that's the first litmus test. Is what my truth is relevant to the listener, the buyer, the consumer, the client? Do they care? Do they care? So I always say that keeping it real and keeping it authentic are two different things. And I'm gonna tell you something. And I know when people say that they're keeping it real and as if they cannot be selective. Growing up as a child, you learn how to uh, be very selective in what you told your mama when something went down. You didn't always tell the full story. You cherry picked from grade school to in order to get something that you wanted. Understand what I'm saying? So, keeping it real and keeping it authentic, speaking your truth, oversharing are all different things. And from children, we learn how to cherry pick what we feel is relevant to get what we want. So, first of all, if who you're sharing something with, find out if you're in business as a brand, as an entrepreneur, as a creative, does the audience care? If it's not getting them to buy into you or buy from you, it's irrelevant. Go ahead, unmic, honey, unmic. The
I'm
first,
sorry. So
the first
so when
thing
you say
is keeping it real, being
yes.
authentic, sharing things about yourself, going off the cuff, talking off the top of the dome, being in the flow. I'm just saying how I feel. Does the audience care? And will they buy into you and buy from you when you finish talking? Is it relevant?
Okay. We so audience buy-in. What does it mean for a person to buy into your brand?
First and foremost, do they sit there long enough to listen to you? Because the first thing they're spending is time. Before anyone ever spends money, they spend time. And is what you're saying and what you're selling worth their time? If it is, they will listen long enough to determine if it's worth their money. That's the first buy in. The first buy in is the awareness, the connection, and then the currency.
So one of the main reasons that I did invite you on the show is because of the climate of the country, not only the country, but just different brands. They are oversharing. And then, once you say something, whether it be, there have been, and I'm sure that people in the chat can attest. And if you can attest, please drop a one in the chat. Have you guys ever seen a celebrity maybe like a tweet or like a post 5 years ago, and then once they become famous, people are like, Glorilla liked this negative post from 5 years ago, or so and
Mhm.
so said such and such yesterday. How would a person utilize media coaching if their brand took a hit from maybe negative publicity, saying something negative, during a meeting, maybe liking a negative post? How would they bounce back after taking a public hit?
They would hire Olivia Pope, the real Olivia Pope. That is called crisis communication. So shout out to Vicky, I mean to Vic, also to Elena. They've dropped ones. What you do is when you have a hit to your brand, because I'm talking to you all as if you are a client, not just someone who's out here randomly. We're talking about you have something you're trying to sell to someone, or you want to buy into you or buy from you. If that is your goal, this message is for you. Only if you're trying to sell them something, even if the selling is you. If you by chance have a situation or see something, what they need is crisis communication. We talk about Scandal, the Olivia Pope, and the real Olivia Pope. She worked in the political space, the one that the story was based on. And there is real situations currently even happening online right now where Isaac Hayes III, who is the founder of Fanbase, had an exchange with a very well-known influencer and creative talent, Chelsea, and it's now hitting his brand as he's been trying to raise funds for Fanbase because everyone is super sensitive to the 92%. And at this time, to do any injury to a black woman, regardless of her stance politically, culturally, is going to get immediate backlash. So instead of hiring a media crisis communication coach, he has been wading in the waters. And finally, I think yesterday, because actually someone sent me a clip because I have joined fan. Well, I joined years ago, and I was looking to get more active on a couple of platforms, and they sent that to me. And I looked at some of the things. One of the things is that when you have a situation where 5 years ago, last week, last night, you in your high emotion or just for fun you liked a post, made a comment, retweeted, or you initiated it, you need to hire a professional to help you walk it back. And the way you do that, real talk. Hey, Catherine. Yes, you're very welcome, Catherine. Thank you. One of the things that you do when you have a crisis communication coach or consultant is they first assess the damage. They want you to first shut up. Shut up. Stop talking. Don't say another word. Plead the fifth. No comment. That is what high level organizations and individuals and high net professionals understand when they're in hot water is number one, turn the faucet off. Now I know Kendra say turn the TV off, turn the TV off. I'm going to say turn the faucet off. Turn the faucet off. Stop talking. Turn it off. Don't say another word. No comment. refer to your attorney. I'll let someone, my publicist will handle this, or just no comment, no comment, no comment, no comment. That is the first thing, is to turn the faucet off. Stop talking. Then actually get with a PR professional, publicist, and or crisis communication manager, depending upon how bad the damage is. And just like a good doctor, you need somebody to assess the damage. Is it going to hit your pockets? Is it going to, just like with Target, you do something that you think is going to be one way, and they need a crisis communications, and they are doing just that by pushing forward with their branded material that they had already had in the can before they rolled back DEI, by still pushing those commercials that they had created, and not saying anything. They have not said anything else. If you pay attention to the big boys, they stop talking, and then they just go on as business as usual and let somebody else clean it up. That's the first thing. And the second thing is if you are advised to speak to the situation, have somebody do, and you see this in Hollywood all the time, or in political circles, where they have a prepared statement. You have a prepared statement. You have a prepared post. You have a prepared, wherever the damage was done, that is where you have a prepared response. But first, stop talking, get with someone who can handle a crisis communication, have them properly assess the damage. Is it just your ego, or is it your money? And once that's done, have a prepared statement and continue on business as usual.
And I think that's a phenomenal point. And I think a lot of people hadn't gotten to the point where they like I see a lot of people that haven't gotten to the point where they start making the money, so they don't care, or they're looking at virality. I'm willing to do whatever
Yeah,
it takes in the moment to go viral. Do
thank you.
you feel that in viral moments, let's say you go viral, how would a media coach help with leveraging your career in moments of virality? Because a lot of us don't have that business sense of navigating media. We just sometimes kind of wing it, and then luck
Correct.
happens.
Okay. Okay, let me establish one thing. At the base of everything I'm telling you all is storytelling. And I'm going to pull it back to this. Storytelling is at the core of us communicating to anybody. We are always telling somebody a story, and it's your version of the story. When you're in conversations with friends, you're telling them a story of when you went to the hair salon and you saw that chick who did this and that. You're telling a story to your parents on when you went on that vacation and the things you experienced. You're telling a story to your coworkers, to your boss. You're telling a story to anybody when you open your mouth. And the question is what story are you telling? So let's establish that. What story are you telling? And once again, why are you telling it? And does the listener care? Is it relevant to them? All right. So once you have that, this is going back to going viral and how to leverage. So the story that you're telling needs to be relevant to the listener, and it also needs to have a goal in mind. Why am I telling the story? What do I want to have happen as a result of the story? And being honest with it. What do I want to really happen as a result of me telling this person this version of my story? Then also with that, I have two pillars called control the narrative and max out media. Now, the foundation, like you're building a house, is storytelling. I am telling stories. Now, growing up, don't be telling those stories that it was equivalent to a lie. Now we have things called brand messaging, which means, are you on message? Are you on brand? Meaning, are the words that you're speaking, are the words that you're posting, are the words that you're blogging? Hey, Kenny Lee, are those stories consistent with your brand, or are you telling childhood stories, AKA lies? Okay. What type of story are you telling? And are you when you tell this story, are you doing one or two things? Are you controlling the narrative, and are you maxing out media? Media is now traditional media, print, radio, television, and now we have digital media, blogs, online forums, and social media. If media is connected to it, are you maxing out that media opportunity based upon the controlling of the narrative and the story that you're telling? And the way you do that to leverage it is know why you're telling the story. What is my why? Am I just randomly spouting out? Am I trying to go viral? And at what expense? Okay. Am I trying to sell a business, a product, a service? Hi, Richard. Why am I telling my story? Am I controlling my story? And am I leveraging media as I tell this story? If you can answer those questions, then if you go viral, you already know the end game. Like you woke up in the morning intentionally to make that video for an end result. I want to accomplish this today. I want to impress this idea in the masses today. I want someone to recognize me today. I want to feel loved today. I want to sell a pair of shoes today. I It has to have a goal. Now, once again, I'm not talking to random people. I'm talking to people who recognize they have a brand or a business, and they have either they're trying to have people buy into them or buy from them. If that's your goal, once again, this conversation is for you. What is your intention? Why are you talking? Why are you telling the story? What part of the story needs to be told in order to control the narrative and to leverage and maximize media from traditional to digital to social? Now, one of the things, hi, Lawrence Thompson. One of the things, and for those like a Lawrence Thompson, who's a motivational speaker, but also has an amazing backstory, he had an opportunity, me and him, via through some situations, to have some conversations. And one of the things I'll say, I'm going to take Lawrence, I'm going to utilize you. He has an amazing story, having done multiplicity of things, including the military, including being a motivational speaker, including having life experiences that he is comfortable sharing. However, here's the truth. The end goal is to his case is to be booked as a speaker, or as they say, booked and busy. So to be booked and busy, you got to keep rehashing your brand story to the right audience who cares, who wants to hear it. And your intention has to be clear when you wake up in the morning. I will tell this story because I want this result. And literally, some of us just wake up and want to feel heard and want to be seen. And if that's your objective, be clear that it is. And do things to be seen and do things to be heard, but also be prepared for the consequences of that.
Okay, you guys make sure that if you have questions, this is the time to drop your questions in the chat. You can
That's
drop
right.
questions throughout the conversation. Although I'm super excited as well. I can't be selfish and keep Christy to myself.
And like I
So
said, she is gifting you all with a $500 session tonight. This is a $500 session. So she's like, hey, Christy, you're in the hot seat. And I literally, any question that you have. One thing I did, Shamika, a couple of years ago is I created something for some PR, a publicist, and she had a roster of clients, and I wanted to roll out something called media interview critiques. Media interview critiques. Once again, this conversation is for those who are already in the flow of seeking out media attention. You're looking to be booked and busy. You're looking to be on podcasts. You want to be on radio interviews. You want to be on television. You want the magazine write up. You want the newspaper write up. You want to be seen and heard so you can be booked and busy or paid in full. That is your objective. And for some people, they're like, no press is bad. No, any press is, what is it? Any press is good press. However, the consequences is if by chance, if that press hits your pocket or your brand, then it's not good. So in the case of being able to have a solid strategy on why am I talking? Why am I getting up in the morning, putting on this makeup, turning on this camera? Why am I putting on clothes, driving across town to sit on this couch? I need to be very, very clear. What is my objective? What do I want people to do? Buy into me or buy from me or both? And how am I protecting my brand in the process? Now, let me say something. I said, as children, we learned to cherry pick our stories very well. And many times we would only tell the part of the story that was in favor of us. If you had siblings, you told the part of the story where your cousin or your brother or your sister looked bad, but you made yourself look really, really, really good. Like, I was the good one. And as adults, we need to maintain that childlike wisdom of telling the parts of the story that make you look good. Now, I understand we are in a tell all world where people feel like if they tell all, be seen all, from the racy videos, the shock experiences. I can't believe they said this. I can't believe they did this. And you go viral. Oftentimes, people wanted to have 15 minutes of fame. Now we want 15 seconds of fame. I would prefer the 15 minutes of fame because you can leverage that into 15 years of fame. But you have to know why you're doing what you're doing. Okay, so let me give another example. Okay, Shamica. Okay, so can we not be transparent at all? Great question. Okay, the answer is yes, you can be transparent just like a child. And I'm using that because oftentimes as an adult, we have 25, 35, 45, 55, 65 years of stories. One of the things I do with my clients, and Shamica, I love this, and many of them are already well accomplished, and I have clients across the country, and because they've already been there, done that, they've been on stages, they've been interviewed, they have books out, they've spoken, public, they get paid well to speak publicly, but yet when it comes to engaging the media, they have a disconnect because there's still a fear factor of having been on the couch with the television lights or coming into a radio studio and their microphone is like they can freak out. So they're trying to like, I can speak on stages in front of tens of thousands of people, but I freak out when I get in a radio studio. What I tell people about the transparent piece is you have a lifetime of stories. Select the stories that are relevant to the reason you're in the interview. I have something called every 5 years, and it's an exercise that you all can feel free to do. Go through your life based upon what your brand and business is, or if you're a creative, what is your project? If you're a filmmaker, what is that project? What is that creative entrepreneurial venture that you're on? And list the stories every 5 years that lead up to you creating that book, writing that book, putting out that film, recording that album, launching that product, providing this service. Every one of us have a story. I said at the end of the day, we all have a story, and many of us have decades of stories, and you can be transparent based upon how it's relevant to the audience listening to you, buying into you for that book, for that new designer purse that you just launched, or that business, or the best fried chicken, or whatever. So let's take, okay, we're gonna storytelling. I'm also a poet, a songwriter, a screenwriter, so I believe in the power of storytelling, and that is what I communicate to my clients. To be transparent, okay, Vic Keys is of Faith. I don't know if he's able to drop a what does he do? I want him
It's
to
a
kind of,
she. Her
oh,
name
she,
is
okay.
Vix Kids, but you can refer to her as Faith.
Faith, okay, Faith, I want you to drop in here an example of what you want people to buy into you or buy from you, and then we're going to role play with her. Okay, so I'm going to, in the meantime, I'm going to do, let somebody, okay, we're going to make up a person named
Latrice.
Latrice. Okay, Latrice has decided after 25 years in a corporate job, always being asked to make this particular potato salad every single time that they have something, family reunions, all the things they want her potato salad. Now, she is in a totally different career. She has nothing to do with potato salad. She is not in the food industry. All she does is go to her favorite grocery store, get the ingredients, and she makes it. But all of a sudden, somebody comes to her and say, I think you should really sell this on the market. We can help you get into some of the local stores. You want to charge about $7.99, have the packaging, the whole 9 yards. So she does all that. She learns, she goes to the path of actually finally putting her potato salad, the kind with the good mustard, honey. You know, the kind we like at the backyard at the backyard get-togethers, and it's on the market. However, now it's in such a high demand, people want to interview her about this amazing potato salad that she calls the amazing potato salad of Latrice. All right. However, because she's in this other industry, she's in retail. Now she's finding herself making this potato salad. Somebody's coaxed her into putting it into stores, but now she needs to support that brand and that product with media interviews. If she came to me, I would ask her one question. Why do you make potato salad? Oh, I like it because of this, and this. I said, who taught you how to make the potato salad? You know, I lived in Chicago, but I would always come down south during the summertime and stay with my grandparents, and they lived in South Haven, Mississippi, and they had a farm, and I had to go do this, and I had to do this, and I had to do this. I had to watch my grandmother, and she's going to tell me this story on how she started learning how to make the potato salad. Okay, this going to your faith about the question of being transparent. But the reason why she really makes the potato salad is not just because her grandmother taught her how to, but she started making the potato salad after her grandmother passed from cancer when she was 14. Are y'all following one of the story? How she, in an intention and a effort to remain connected to her maternal grandma, I'm making her mama's mama, in an effort to make a connection with her maternal mother's mother, and her reminiscing about her summer trips, she now makes this potato salad in honor of. So if I was her coach, I would tell her to tell that story and link it to the pain of the loss, and how when you made it the first time a year or two after your grandmother passed, everybody praised her for making it just like Big Mama. You see how that works? The transparency is in the base of the story, the childhood memories, the pain of the loss, and making this potato salad in honor and a connection to. She didn't have to get into how her mom lived in a community where there was environmental injustice, and that's why she got, she could tell that story if it was relevant. It could have been a tragic loss where it was a domestic violence situation and her grandmother passed away from a violent relationship. But what is relevant to the story is her connection to her grandmother and how and why she makes this potato salad. That is transparency that's relevant to the buyer and to the purchaser. Now, if you happen to be invited to, let's just say, a organization that deals with women who have suffered from cancer and or domestic violence, and you want to tell your story, I make this potato salad in honor of my grandmother who experienced this, and this is my way of staying connected. Yeah. That is how you can be transparent and not overshare, and only tell the stories that's necessary to selling the product, service, or yourself. Okay, so Faith, I see. So I speak about relationships on my platform. So would I be wrong to be transparent about some of my past relationships and what I learned? The answer is no. If your audience is there to hear the story of your tragedy and triumph, the answer is no. It has to be relevant to the audience. If you say, I went through a situation where, look, come on, then, don't be doing all that. I went through a situation where I was in a toxic love relationship, and I gave him, we're talking like that, that Waiting to Exhale Angela Bassett story, where I helped him build his business and he left me for his secretary, and I burnt his car up and I didn't have to do time. Then, and what I learned from that is, number one, if we pay attention to the Waiting to Exhale story, Faith, is don't surrender yourself to somebody else for their dreams. That's the first lesson. First lesson of Angela Bassett's character was, don't give up your dreams for someone else. And particularly if you're not fully engaged in the day-to-day business of said business that you gave yourself up for, so that you would be on the clock, you would be in the office, you would be protecting your investment. Because if you surrendered your dream for your husband's dream or your boyfriend's dream or whoever you deemed important, and then they X you out of that, and now you're feeling some kind of way, you lost money, you lost time, you lost all that. Yes, you tell that story within the confines of, that was my tragedy and this was my triumph. And then you always, Faith, tell them the transition. How did you get from tragedy to triumph? Because that's what people really want to know. That's what people really want to know. How do we get in touch with these outlets and how to stand? Okay, so Keisha J says, okay, so Faith, did that help you out with that? Yes, be transparent if it's relevant to the audience. Let me share something with you all very quickly. I was very candid, and I have shared online very lightly. Remember the Me Too movement? When everybody started talking about that a couple years back. And because I have been in the entertainment industry so long, before radio, I was deep in music. Broadway was my truest ambition. So I was deep in that music world before I really committed myself in my 20s to my radio career. So there was a like 10-year span where I was in the music industry and seeking to determine if that was going to be my life path. As a result, I'm in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. So a lot of what people talk about that happened that has become extremely taboo, that was the norm. It was normal for men to be in, put women in compromising situations where you were in the studio. It was like the regular way to be, whether you was a casting couch, whether whatever men felt like they needed to do to get put on. Okay. As a result of me being around that industry for so many years, when the Me Too movement came out, and this is me choosing in this moment to tell this story, Faith. A friend of mine called me from Detroit and said, "Are you okay?" Because she understood that my exposure in that industry had put me in rooms and situations that made me extremely uncomfortable. And I told her I was, because one of the things that I learned early because of childhood experiences, I knew when to leave the room. Christy Taylor's the truth in what she did. Yes, honey, get the pen, get the paper. Yeah. So the thing is that as a child, childhood experiences, childhood memories, childhood, understanding that oftentimes a girl isn't safe in this world, and now I have to extend that to a boy ain't safe in this world. I knew as an adult when, if a conversation went left, I knew when to leave. So I didn't put myself in and through situations to compromise myself. And in the music industry, I will say it came to a point where, if in a studio session, somebody who didn't know me started talking crazy, and I was in the gospel industry, to be very clear. And if they were talking off cuff, and I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Next thing you know, I would be ghost. I would just be ghost. It was no goodbye, wasn't no rolling the neck. It wasn't, you ain't gonna talk like that. No, it was just that I exit the room. I had that liberty. I have that autonomy. I had that ability to just exit. I don't have to subject myself. So when, as time went on, people learned, if somebody who didn't know how I flowed came in the room, Shamica, and started talking off color, and I got quiet, they knew, the guys knew, Christy ain't on that. Because what you want more from me is my intellect and my brilliance and my ability to help your record sale. What you want from me is my strategy on how to navigate this industry. What you really want from me is something more than just this temporary moment of feeling macho. So that's the kind of story I would tell to people who are in the entertainment space, women who, who are relevant. Okay, it's working again. Okay, Catherine said I'm driving and my phone is breaking up. Girl, honey, come on, we got to do the replay on you. Okay, so that's one of the things that I would say. So, Faith. Okay, good, 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 good. Now I'm gonna jump to Keisha. Keisha J, you want to put her question up? How do you get in touch with these outlets? And how do you stand out when asking to be featured on these outlets? First and foremost, you can do it yourself. It is more time consuming. And yes, the type of time that you spend, you could have paid somebody. So I will say you can do it yourself. There's enough technology. You have AI to support you. There are plenty of directories. There are plenty of platforms now that allow you to do it yourself. And they literally have roster of publications, radio shows, podcast outlets, TVs. I mean, everybody is always looking for the next big thing, the next big story, because they have 24 hours worth of space to sell and or cover and communicate to an audience. So I would say you can do it yourself, do the research, or you can hire someone who has made a career in having relationships with the publications, the media outlets that you want to be featured on. Okay, Shamica, anything real quick? Because I know I'm talking nonstop. Um,
No,
you
it's
have,
for so the people in the chat are asking good questions. I'm
yes, they're
feeding off
asking
of you.
amazing questions.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
so
once you answer that, I actually have a question for you
okay,
after.
so Keisha J, I think I'm saying her name correct. Is it Keisha J? Okay, so the thing is, you can do it yourself, or you can hire a publicist who can assist you with identifying the outlets that are relevant to you. Another example, if you're in the fashion industry, you don't want to be necessarily in a publication, on a radio show, on a TV network that does not focus on your niche. So, getting a publicist, getting a PR guru who can help you identify the best outlets for you is the first thing. Once you make that calendar, and if you were my client, I would say, hey, number one, what are you trying to sell? What are you trying to promote? And let's find the platforms that will help you do that. Because what you're doing is you want to borrow the radio station's audience for 5 to 20 minutes or 30 minutes if you're on a podcast. What you're trying to do is borrow the audience they've already built. Okay. So if you're on Club Shay Shay, you want to take that. He has an extremely long talk time. You want to take those 2 hours to borrow his audience and sell them on you, because he's already sold. They're going to show up for Club Shay Shay. They're going to show up for him. If you want to buy into the local media personalities platform, you want to buy into Dear Shamica's platform. She has an audience, and if you want to connect with the people who already love and adore her, then you select that, because her audience will buy into you or buy from you. Now, how do you, so that's the first thing, is how do you get in touch? Number one, you can do it yourself. Google Chat prompt that you can do, like in Chat GPT, if you want to be featured in Memphis, is make a list of all the radio and TV stations, podcasts, newspapers that will be a great fit for me if I'm pushing X, Y, and Z. If I'm trying to be a motivational speaker, if I'm a designer, if I'm a musician, just put that in a prompt and it'll spit it out. Particularly ask for contact information and the process by which you submit. Now, you will need a press release in most instances, and you can even ask it to write a press release for you in press release format, and you can do it yourself. But if you want to, and you will submit it, and television particularly has something called the news desk, and you submit it to the news desk. And if it's something that they feel will fit the flow of their station and the audience that they target, then they will reach out to you. Or you may go particularly to a producer of a show. The thing is how do you stand out? Is be interesting. Have your story unlocked. What is your brand story? Why do you want to come on the show? If it's to sell something, most networks do not care that you're trying to sell something. They will push you to advertising. What you have to do that's different is tell a story that they cannot get from your website, from your social media post. They can't, or their blog. Here's one reason why I wanted to do coaching is oftentimes people would show up And I would ask questions and they would give me yes and no short answers. And I would be frustrated because I'm a storyteller. And I'm like, I could have just read that on their social media post. They didn't have to come in. I could have just read that on their website. I could have just read that off of their press release. You show up to do something that those things cannot do, and that's tell a story and add human elements to it. So don't show up and give the same answers that they could have read in a social media post, read your blog, or did your website. Um, Catherine says she's in a okay. So, and how do you show up? Is be interesting. Tell your story. What stories in your life leads up to the reason why you wrote that book? Now, Catherine, and I know we're going to go to Shamica real quick. She said, as an aspiring fashion designer and writer, how do I build a community of people that will support me and believe in my vision? I know this. Do your craft and do it well. Do your craft and do it well. How does a singer do it? How does anyone, you create your craft in such a way that when someone hears about it, one of the most powerful things that can ever happen is word of mouth. That is still the most powerful form of PR you can ever get is word of mouth, because if you have a strong product, service, craft excellence, and you contact dear Shamica and say, girl, I want you to try this on. She wears it on her platform. Someone said, oh, girl, who you wearing? And you get enough buzz just from the groundswell of your excellence, media will come for you. Do your craft and do it well, period. Exactly. If you become an expert at what you do, the media will find you. It, if you do what you do at the highest level, you will not have to beg for an interview. They will find you. And how will you do that is do your craft and connect with people who love what you do. If you're aspiring, if you are an aspiring fashion designer, I would say to you, stop aspiring and do design some fashion and share it with people who would benefit from wearing what you do, sporting what you do. And if you're a writer, write and publish it to a blog or your social media. Well, I would say websites and blogs. Social media is too finicky. Do Substack, do platforms where you can control and own the content. So if a social media goes down, your stuff is still secure. All right.
Popularity, because I've had this debate for quite some time, because I've been in this thing just building a brand for years, and this is the first time I can say that I'm actually making money from my brand. There are so many, and you guys can drop ones in the chat if you agree. There's so many individuals who, because social media is so such a sea of people that are in the midst of building brands and having voices, but they don't know how to leverage their brand, or they don't know how to not be caught up in the sea of other people because there's so many people doing the same thing. How do you make yourself stand out among so many others that are doing the exact same thing you're doing? Like, how would you jump in as a media coach to help me stand out?
I would say, first of all, as I just told Catherine, do what you do with excellence. No one can has your signature. There have always been people who have written books. Every single thing that has been done is going to be done again. The question is how do you do it in such a signature way that it's dear Shamica? Prior to Oprah Winfrey, there were phenomenal journalists. I mean, Barbara Walters, we all worshiped her. Walter Cronkite, Phil Donahue. But when Oprah showed up, as she described herself, a big black woman, she did what she did with excellence as herself, going back to the authentic, the transparent. And when it was relevant, and even in her journalistic storytelling, she would share pieces of her story that made her more relatable to the everyday person. But she's also excellent at what she does. Many of us do jobs based upon our lifestyles and our professions where we can do it in our sleep. And I would say to you, can you do what you're promoting in your sleep? And can you do it to such a high level that it's worthy of a story? And if it is, then I say, I would then take us back to the every 5 years. And it's like, what are the stories in your life, Shamica, that led you up to this point of becoming a brand? And just for the record, a brand is your reputation. It's nothing fancy. Your brand is your repeated external reputation. It's what people know about you and believe about you. That is really your brand. And your brand is only built on everyday choices. Your reputation is built on everyday choices. And if your everyday choice is to always be a better version of yourself in who you are and what you do, that becomes your signature. That becomes your brand. And then that becomes newsworthy. Now, let's pull it back. I'm a media personality and I am now a rock star media coach, a consultant. But my story starts as a little girl born in Washington, D.C., who was extremely quiet and read books and did not go outside and play. People who knew me, I like spelling bees and reading books. And even when we moved to Tennessee, most of the people who knew me in Tipton County are amazed that I have a career talking. The truth is that I had something to say. I just didn't know the way to communicate it. My story would be that I found my first voice through poetry and song, which is why I wanted to be a singer, because I had learned how to communicate my deep feelings through writing poetry and singing songs. But by the time I made it to college, radio found me. And I was able to find, after being in the music industry, that I didn't like the road, because you just can't stay in the studio. You eventually have to go on the road and sell your record. But radio was a great fit for me because I could still love music and talk, even if no one was listening in the room. And that's how you've come to know me, as that quiet girl, not shy, but quiet, who had found my voice. And I found a way through my eloquence, through my writing, through my poetic, through my lyrics, to communicate to people what was in my heart. And through radio, I was able to utilize all that I was and communicate it through my passion and through my feeling unseen and feeling unheard. Understand? So when I talk to people and engage with them, I'm coming from that space of feeling unseen and feeling unheard, because I was quiet. If you're not the loudest people, you got 8 cousins and 3 this, and people got 12 kids in the country, and you the quiet one. You getting overlooked. Oh yeah, you getting overlooked. Not intentionally. It's just you're not making any noise. And I didn't want to make demonstrative noise, but I did want to have an impact. And I had to find my way. So I would say to you, first of all, what do you do? Do you do it in excellence? Do you do it and think about it in your sleep? And why is it relevant to the audience? And then being able to craft the stories that will help you tell that best, so that people can buy into you and buy from you.
Okay, so when we speak of doing it in excellence, because I think we minimize as a collective the outlets that we're supposed to reach. And I see a lot of us, because if anyone on this chat knows me, I'm a networker outside of social media. So a lot of us we say I'm out here getting it, and we'll reduce our outlet to specifically social media.
Right.
So, what does doing it in excellence look like as far as brand building outside
Offline.
of social media from this perspective of a media coach?
Okay, I would say, okay, let's take I think Catherine said it, she's an aspiring fashion designer. She can design stuff, show it, make amazing videos showing her making the designs, actually having herself sporting the designs, even having some of her friends do it, and they make TikTok videos and all the things, and they got a million followers. Okay. I'm speaking it for you, Catherine. Like she has a whole fan base. She launches a blog talking about her fashion journey, and she launches a, what is it, Spotify store, and now she's selling it. Okay. It's all online. But then she gets invited to a panel discussion, and she's like, oh, I don't know what to say. She doesn't know anybody. All her relationships are online. And in most cases, because of the nature of the internet, they're not within her city. But if she was adding in with her online experience, she's going to the fashion stores where she's getting her textiles. She's making relationships with the people where she gets her fabric from Joanne Fabrics. She's also attending any fashion related events that's in the city or region. And she's building community that way, and with the models and co-designers. Then they can, at that point, yeah, so now she has built her own tribe of the photographers who wants to take pictures of models wearing clothes, of the graphic designer getting in community with them. That is how you build your reputation, aka brand, as a top-notch fashion designer, doing what you do in excellence. So when you show up with your wares, they were like, "Ooh, girl, Catherine, baby, ooh, I got it. I want to. Can I be the one to wear it tonight?" You get in relationship with the people who need and want to put on fashion shows. And then you build relationships with the DJs that when you attend the fashion shows and find out the DJs and then say, hey, I'm going to put on a show. That is how you build community offline that builds extra power to what you do online. How do you, okay, so Faith said, so wow, she said, wow, I never thought about that. Yeah, so that's how you do it, is find the community of the people who are like you. I'm a poet. A lot of people think I'm just strictly a radio personality, but those who know, I've had chapters of my life, and I'm doing better now of integrating all of my life stories into one. So as a singer songwriter, I got a click. Then when I came back from Detroit, I was in the poetry scene over at the Firehouse, Memphis Firehouse, which is a Memphis Black Arts Alliance, Fat Mac, Autumn kind of people. So when I would show up to poetry sets, now, of course, those Precious Cargo, yes, I'm taking it way back to the Precious Cargo days. That was when I was definitely hot on the scene and over at the Firehouse. And yet, when I needed a poetry fix and I would show up, and at the time, I think Fat Mac had, Darius Fat Mac Clayton had the den over on Marshall, and I would show up because sometimes I still want to get my poetry on, and they were like, Christy Taylor, Christy Taylor, Christy Taylor. And I started realizing, like, oh my God, yes, honey, you used to sing that, girl, Precious Cargo. Shaquita just texted me. She's having, I think, her birthday. Anyway, so I would show up in my poet mind and not my personality. And so one time I got up, I'm like, hey, I want to do something. They're like, Chrissy Taylor, Chrissy. And I'm like, I'm an artsy person first. A radio is what I made a career at, but at the core of who I am, I'm an artist. I'm a creative. I'm a closeted visual artist. I'm a singer songwriter. I'm a poet. All the things. I got a record out. Spoken word CD. You used to sing at the den too, Faye, girl, honey. I know you. I know it. Okay. So the thing is that when we incorporate all of those elements, and I'm like, okay, Michelle, I can talk to her, I can talk to the old heads, and I can talk to the new clique. So if I decide to, Catherine, like I said, in building community and my reputation brand is now, it adds layers to who I am as a communicator. Because not only am I a communicator on radio, I'm a wordsmith. Now it deepens my relationship with those who understand the power of words. Then they find like, oh, you wrote a song too? Now I'm a songwriter. So now I can go and click up with the musicians and singers. Oh, you're first soprano? Yeah, All State, All West, honey. Concert choir. I was in the newspaper in Millington because I went All State, All West. And it deepens the relationship. So then when you get me, it's like, oh, and I used to sing and tour. I've been on records. And when I was in Detroit, Fred Hammond, when he first started producing, I did some spoken word on that. Yes. Oh, yeah. Now you're building the story of who you are. So then when you connect online, it deepens the relationship. But I only tell the story as you need it. Like someone I literally was on, I think Miss Alma Holt, Dr. Alma Holt, still on here. She didn't know about I call my Detroit years. I have chapters of my life. My Detroit years, I was all about music, but my Tulsa year was I was all about God, spirituality. I was radio, all that. Different chapters of your life. But you tell the story as it's relevant to the audience. Like they said, know your audience and build community based on what you do. Broaden your horizon. Get in the room with people who can help you and that you can help. Portia Stevens, when I first got into radio, I was doing weekends on 990 The Light, when it was still gospel, way before V101, way before Hallelujah FM, way before WRBO. It was 1999. And I was still very nervous about being a weekender. And Portia Stevens and I had started working in the office too. So I had my day job doing the office and the radio. And then on the weekends, I did a show. And Portia Stevens, who I always had greatly admired, she was on Smooth 101 before it became V101. And she saw me in the hallway. She said, "Oh, you're Christy Taylor." Not knowing people was even knowing who I was at this point. I was so early in my career. And she was like, "Can I give you some advice?" And I clutched my chest like, "Oh, please don't hurt my feelings." And she did not. And she gave me some of the most amazing advice on how to put my breaks together, how to approach what I was doing on air. And I will eternally be grateful for that. But something else she did as we became more colleagues and things of that nature, I was wanting to get out into the community, to your point, Shamika, I wanted to do more off radio, not so much offline, but off radio. And she said, go to these events. Even though I was doing gospel, she encouraged me to go into other events that was beyond the church world. And she said, and when you introduce yourself, tell them who you are and what you do. And I'm thinking, I'm just a gospel radio personality on the weekend. And she said, introduce yourself to the mayor, introduce yourself to this person. And I'm like, what would I do? How would I benefit them? Not, she said, don't ask what they can do for you. Ask them if, she said, say this, and this is, I'm dropping this. This is straight from Percy Steve. She said, ask them, how can I be of service to you? If there's anything I could ever do for you, let me know. And I asked her, and I thought about, I'm like, what could I do if I was talking to the mayor of a city, or if I was talking to the governor, or if I was talking to the head of a Fortune 500 company? And I said, hey, if there's anything I could ever do for you as a gospel radio personality, let me know. And they were like, they may never need you, but they mama go to church. And they're going to have a women's program, and they'll be able to pull that card up for their mama and say, oh, I met that girl that was on a gospel radio station. I'm going to see if we can get her to MC your program. Now I'm valuable to the president, to the governor, to the CEO, to the mayor, to whoever, because while they may not directly need me, somebody in their circle may. So even a weekend gospel person, and sure enough, people start like, can you come MC my mama program? And that's how I built my reputation of being available, not asking for anything, but being of service.
Let me make sure. So, guys, make sure I'm just repeating this. Make sure if you have questions, make sure to
Drop them
go
in the
ahead and
chat. Drop them in
please
the
drop
chat.
your questions in the chat. This is what a $500 session you're getting
Come
for
on now.
free. And you got to look at the experience in the targeted experience. Like people discredit experience so much. You got to think this is a session where you got how many years of experience, Christy?
I have 40 in the industry, 30 in radio.
And you got degrees. Like you got
And
to
yeah, I got a little
she
piece of paper.
she has the degrees, the experience, like
I'm
all
sure
around.
I'm helping you all save 40 years. When I do creative advisement, for example, the biggest question, like she said, is how can I find the outlet and how can I be a standout? I can give you the shortcut. Not so much I can help you
Pretty much.
shave. Yeah, I can shave 30, 40 years off of the journey. Um, and I'm gonna circle back around to what she asked. Number one, what are you selling and who's buying it? Okay. Where do the buyers show up? This is literally PR 101. This is what a publicist does. They're like, okay, you're selling clothes. Who's buying clothes? Okay. is high end, so couture. Okay, so now we need to go to print magazine because radio and television is not going to be able to show your couture. You need a layout, an editorial. You need a write up. You need a photographer. You need models. You need a story. You need to say that you are doing an off Broadway, off Hollywood, off this. I'm doing a private show in New York around the corner or some ritzy place downtown. It's a private, only 200 people can come. Maybe only 50 people are the most fashion driven people in Memphis. And you create a story. But you need more than, and once you get the print layout and they see your work, then you do a television ad and have the model show up on a morning show. Gina Neely, you know, that kind of stuff, Kanji. And then you do a radio show to promote your upcoming event. I just shaved off, I gave you a PR strategy of how to, number one, do it, paint by numbers. And then you only go to those who have audiences who will come to a a couture style fashion show or screening, or you cut to the chase. And then you have a story. What inspired you to do fashion? Mm-hmm. And you tell that story and not, but yeah, but I was hurt because somebody didn't, and I was trying to, this is where you kill your brand. This is how you kill your brain. You've been in the closet, you've been sewing, you've been doing all this. You've had people say no, 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 and you finally got a yes. And you're going to spend your 5 minutes promoting your fashion show, talking about the 10 people who said no to you, and how you still have an axe to grind, and how you're now launching a line with Gap. And if no, those 10 people were supposed to say no so that you could get to Gap. Don't waste your media opportunities talking about the people who did you dirty, who didn't give you opportunities. Don't give them press. Don't give them press. Now I get stingy with that one. They're undeserving of that time. That's real estate. That costs you money and time and energy. Don't waste your time, honey, talking about who did you dirty. I know, what is that thing y'all say? I don't want to use the cuss word, but when you be, on people, like, when it's cussing, you essing on folk. Why? Why? This was your journey. It wasn't theirs. They weren't supposed to be a part of it. And that is important, a part of your story, because if you spend time rehashing who did not give you an opportunity, guess what? The host of the show will not invite you back because you are bad press. Because their audience didn't want to hear that. They wanted to hear about your fashion show coming up.
I think something too, Christy, that we talked about the experience, but we didn't necessarily talk about the time that you save people from trying to figure it out. A lot of people come in on the tail end, like for instance, my brand. A lot of people meet me now and think, oh, you got this amount of fault. They don't understand that I've been working on this brand for almost 8 years, 6, 7 years of not making any money and just being popular. Popular doesn't pay bills.
That's right.
You get people, hey, how you doing? The worst feeling in the world is to not have strategy and to invite the people that you're so popular around to an event and have zero ticket sales for a free event.
Okay.
Have you ever, if anybody's ever
Yes,
been on Eventbrite, your popularity is not enough to leverage people to come to an event. So you need, you
baby.
need strategy,
You
and
need
you can't,
strategy.
and
In
you will waste time
2019,
if you don't. You'll be broke. Everybody be like,
yes,
"Hey, girl, hey,
yes,
how you doing?" And you
yes.
will be completely broke because a lot of us don't want to invest money into someone telling us how to make money. Like we want experience for free. Experience costs.
Okay, 2019 and it's 2025. I started Christy Taylor Consulting for the whole purpose of being a rock star media coach. And I'm just now in a position where people are like, now, what are you doing after radio? I have been grinding in this space, and oftentimes with people who no one knows, or I should say, no one is saying, hey, I work with Chrissy Taylor. But I have been a whisperer to a lot of people from a media perspective, from a TV and film, from stage plays. But that's the nature of my business. It's like being, a therapist. However, it does take the 10,000 hours. It is the 10-year overnight success. It is always the work in it, which is why I'm a Capricorn, so we like to be perfect. So there's a lot of working in the wood, we like working to the point where it glistens, so that when we do bring it out, it's all gloss. It's like the real McCoy. We don't want no fake nothing. We want it to be pristine. We want it to be perfect. We want it to be like God God is in it. Like the essence of the universe and nature and all the beautiful things, because that is the work. And then when you put it out there and everybody bows down to it because it's like, oh, that's brilliant. That is what you want to sell. That's what you want to communicate. So yes, people like to do shortcuts. People like, but the point of hiring people who are excellent in the thing is so that you can stay in your zone of genius, which is something else I teach people. I teach people to, number one, what is your story? What is your zone of genius? And stay there. Tell the story that's connected to your zone of genius. And that makes you an amazing interviewee. That makes you an amazing subject. That makes you a great, amazing public speaker. Anything that you do, if you are in your zone of genius and you know the stories connected to that zone of genius, and you do that over and over and over again, anybody that we consider amazing, they stay in their zone of genius and they only talk about the area that they are a genius in. Les Brown is one of my favorites. He has told the same story 1,000 times, 10 trillion times, but he tells it with such a level of passion, because each time he tells the story, it's still from a place of something that resonates with him. If you're telling trite stories that you just say off the top of your head, and because it's one of your stories, as an interviewer, I would ask you a question to break you. Remember Jerry Maguire? All the athletes didn't want to go on this one show because they would always make them cry. Because if you know the real question, people like to stay behind the mask. But I want to get to the core of the story that can cause the emotion to connect. And when you live from a place of passion and connectivity, then you want to use that to leverage and move the masses. Okay. Faith got a question. You want to put it up? She said, how important is your circle when building your brand? Girl, hush your mouth. It's so extremely important. We've always heard that if you want to know where you're going to be in 5 years, look at your friends. Your reputation is directly linked to the people you're around, because their reputation rubs off on you. Birds of a feather do flock together. And if you have nothing in common with them, particularly at your core, why are you still with them? And I don't believe in your circle has to buy from you. I know that's kind of, they may not need what you're selling. They like legitly, like they may not need what you're selling, but you want them to be in support of who you are in your journey. That's what you need more than them buying all the chicken wings. Everybody they don't even eat chicken no more. Their doctor told them to stop eating fried chicken, and all you doing is fried chicken. They can't cook, they can't eat your food no more. But they can support you in your entrepreneurial journey. If you're Kathy, she out here doing, frocks, and feathers and somebody allergic to it, they can't wear your clothes, but they can definitely, they may be not in the size that you make them in. It ain't gonna be cute on them, but they can support you in building your brand and your reputation and your expertise. They can support you. They can be that word of mouth. Yeah. So your circle is very important to building your brand, but don't put pressure on them to be something that they can't be or need to be. Oftentimes, and I gotta go a little religious. Uh, they always talk about how what is it? The prophet ain't welcome in his own hometown, and oftentimes you need to leave home, but you can have people who support you when you come back. They're like, "Girl, you did that. I saw you. Oh, I'm proud of you." Yeah. Catherine, you want to put that question up? She said, okay, what is it? Catherine Woods asks the question, how do I strategize a writing and fashion career at the same time? People wouldn't get confused, will they? If you're writing about something that's not fashion, they will. I know I'm being funny. Yeah, the way you put those two together is, I would tell you as your media coach, is to write about fashion. If you love world travel, write about traveling. If you love, collecting, you know, anything, write about what you love, write about your passion. That's how you connect. And even if it's fictional, it may not be a blog post. It may not be, maybe it's a how-to book about fashion. Or even if it is, if you say, hey, Christy, I want to write poetry. Well, write, or write fiction. Well, write stories about people involved in the fashion world. So, that's how you can make, that would be the strategy. It's like write about what you love and connect the two together. They won't get confused if you write about incorporate fashion into your writing. Catherine also asks, I like the fact that you are an artist. How did you gain confidence in pursuing your goals? Girl, honey, child. Woo! How did I gain confidence in pursuing my goals as an artist? Through blood, through sweat, through tears, through rejections, through second guessing, through perpetual drowning, through spirituality, through God saying either you're going to do it or you're going to die, through facing myself, through the dark night of the soul. And when I determined in my 30s, I've been around since 17 in the industry, but by the time I hit my 30s and fully committed to my personal path, because I was around a lot of singers, I was around a lot of talented people, and it's like, oh, that's what we doing. Oh, that's what we doing. Oh, I'm just like, okay, we all grew up together. We all did, and none of them were radio person. Nobody was on a radio path. And when I had to break away from the path and be a poet that talked about deep things, that weren't churchy, when I had to write my songs about God and they sound more like love songs, and I literally lost a Christian songwriting competition because they say they didn't know who I was writing to. When I had to, even when I came to Memphis and really started my radio career, because I had done some radio in Detroit as a secretary and came to Memphis and really started my on-air career. And yet I would have people who would call me and say, you sound like a white woman. And I'm on a Christian and I'm on a gospel, gospel radio station. Are you white? I learned my confidence by embracing myself and presenting her. And I'm still embracing her. I'm still sharing her as I age. And yeah, that's how I gain a confidence, is by still doing what I wanted to do with passion and with excellence. And yeah. Yes, honey. Faith, you can write. That's right, honey. Tell Catherine. Yes, write fictional stories about fashion. Great idea. Thank you, Faith and Miss Taylor. Girl, oh, come on, Miss Wood. She's gonna put Miss Taylor on it. So I mean, I'm acting grown up in here. Daphne Handy. Oh my God. Okay. I need her to drop in the chat how I came. I think I had just moved back from Los Angeles in 2014. I had been bouncing between, I had left my radio career in 2009, went back to Oral Roberts University in my 40s, a non-traditional student, completed a degree in drama, TV, and film performance. And by 2012-ish, I had ended up in Detroit, in LA, working on my graduate program. And I came back home because my mom hit her 80s. And one thing I always do, regardless of where I go, is I find the creatives. Like, where are they hanging out? What we doing? Where we at? Precious Cargo hit closed. So, like, where the artists at? And somehow, some way, Daphne and I would love for you, Daphne, how did we meet? But I had just learned about Ava DuVernay when I was in LA, and I had watched one of her movies, Middle of Nowhere, and I totally just loved it. Also, I was becoming a great fan of Ava DuVernay in her early years because she had been a publicist in the film industry, and now she was stepping into her role as a filmmaker. And she also did something for the fashion house. I think it's Prada, and it's called The Door. And Gabrielle Union was the main character. And when I tell you, I totally love that. It still inspires me to this day. And as an artist, I just made my directorial debut last November. I still draw from that. But when I met Daphne and she was beginning to do her photography and her film and just her eye, because I love photography, I love art, I love visuals, all the things, home decor, all that. So I said to her, like, oh my God, you've got the eye. And I shared some insights with her, and I have been grateful, Daphne, to see that you have evolved. And she's, y'all know Daphne's amazing, but I remember that. And that's something that I do is I love to encourage people who have the gift, who have the eye, who have the talent. It was through a woman we both knew. I can't remember her name. I know. I tried. Wait. Girl, hold on one second. Was it she lived out in Bartlett, Cordova area. Ah, and I think, did you come to her house and do some photography? No, I'm grateful to you always, girl. Now, of course, you do a lot of commercial work, which I'm proud of, but I am still waiting for your full commitment to film and television, because Daphne, you have it. And I'm just going to say, and of course, I know that, life be lifing, because I think you were just having your first son, but life be life. And this is what I do, ladies and gentlemen. I do a little therapy, a little creative advisement. It's like, stick to your path, do what you do with excellence. Yes, utilize the doors that you open, but always stay true to the core of who you are, and let your reputation and your brand be based on that. And then when opportunities come, say yes to the opportunities as they come. But yeah, oh my God. I have been blessed, and Shamica, you should tell our story, and then I want to kind of, I know we really don't show the extra love on this one.
We did, and I have a few more questions because I do want them to take advantage of your coaching session. So Daphne, we will talk. I guess we need to collaborate and talk off camera. But what is a coaching session like? How long is a coaching session, and what does that first session look like if someone were to book you?
Okay, so first thing I do, and I actually had a discovery session today, and it's a 30-minute free discovery session. And if you want to, you can drop it in the chat, or I'm going to do it. You can go to my website, and I'm going to put it in. And I do design my own stuff, all the things. My creativity be coming that way. Go to my website and click on where it says about, do you want to elevate? I do a complimentary 30-minute session. There is a questionnaire that you have to fill out, because I do want to understand what you're needing. I want to be able to properly assess it. And I literally did this last night. Someone has a podcast, and they have also a wellness business, and they are grown folk. And they wanted to learn how to leverage what they do in their podcast with what they do in their primary business. So what I came up with, and I discussed with them, and this is a real talk, like literally what I did today. I asked a couple of questions. Number one, I went through their website, wonderful website. Then I went to their Facebook. They had posted something in February, and last time it was November, December. And I went to their Instagram, and there's literally no post and no image, no logo, no nothing. And I was like, am I on the right page? So I talked to them first about, this is what I do in the discovery. Like in the discovery session, I don't just say, okay, this is how much I charge y'all, because I want to find out, am I a good fit for you? And are you willing to do the work I'm going to demand? Okay, so I'm real talk. Yeah, I go for results and transformation. I need y'all money, but not to the point where y'all waste my time and my gift. And I'm stingy with myself like that because I know I come with a lot. I'm coming with 30, 40 years, and I want to make sure that you transform your life. So in the discovery session, Shamica, you was like, hey, Christy, I submitted. Then I look over your intake form. I do some preliminary. So when we actually talk, I will ask you questions, deep dive into with them. You have this show and you have this business. I looked at your services. Are you selling your services on your show? Guess what the answer was? Go on, answer. Open the mic. The
No.
question the question they wanted to know is how could they leverage their show to help their business? And the thing is, I went to your website, I went to your Facebook, I went to your Instagram. Those are non-existent, but your website is all the way on point. And I'm looking at your services. Do you sell your services on your show? And the answer was no. We talk about things, but we don't. I said, but you don't have a solid call to action. No. I said, would you be willing? Okay, okay, right. So then the second thing I said, okay, I looked at your social media. Do you have, I said, are you using your show? Is your show right now, does it have a place where you have replays on a podcast platform and or YouTube? They were building out their pod on their YouTube channel. Okay. I'm like, okay, good. Thumbs up. Then I went to it. Okay, you definitely want to brand, create your segments, and then also create your playlist so that is reflective of your shows. I said, and then what we would need to do is, and this is all in the free 30-minute discovery. I'm giving you game. I'm dropping all the gems. Because even though I'm giving you what you're do it yourself, like if you walked away and like, oh, Chrissy, I got this. I don't need y'all. I don't need you, you're going to be able to transform whatever you're trying to do. So number one, you're not selling yourself on your show. Your social media, your YouTube channel needs to be up for the replays, and your social media now needs to be populated to push people to your YouTube channel and your website. And then the question that I asked at the end is, and I always say, this is what I would suggest that you do. Are you willing to do it? And the answer is at each point, you're like, yes, I said, you need to revamp your show so it actually sells your business. We need to create segments within your hour. Every 15 minutes, you need to have something that's anchored in what you do. I said, and based on all the services, which one do you make the most money from? And they were like, well, we make a lot of money. People come to us for this and this, but we want to do this over here. I said, but right now, if we wanted to make a dent in 30 to 60 days, which one do people show up and ask you to do right now? Oh, this over here. Okay, well, let's go with what's making you money right now. And that's what we're going to sell on the show. And then, of course, what you're selling, what your primary, what people to come, go back to your expertise and excellence, ladies and gentlemen. Stay in your zone of genius. People are coming to you because you make the best fried chicken. Stop trying to sell them shrimp and fish. Your fish don't taste like your chicken. I'm using it because we like to eat. Sell people what they're asking for, and then you can upsell. Do you want fries with that? They came for a burger. Give them the burger and then say, do you want fries with that? What about a large Sprite? You know what I'm saying? Upsell them after you give them what they come for. So then the other thing I told them, I say, are you willing to revamp your show? Yes. Then I'm like, are you willing to work on your YouTube channel and populate it? Yes. Are you willing to work on your social media to point them to your YouTube and your website? And the answer was yes in all three. And then I got to, this is based on what you're saying you're willing to do. And because you've already done this work, you probably need only 2 or 3 sessions with me. That's how I determine how much it costs. My sessions are 90 minutes. So, and I say, I do working sessions. I said, just like we've been on this call more than 30 minutes. I said, and you've got enough to go away and do what you need to do. But if you work with me, we're going to get down in the trenches and we're going to do a 90-minute working session. So when you end my session, you will have done the work. And and I do give homework. I give preliminary questions. I need like already. So then I said, this is what I charge. But if you make a decision within the next basically 24 hours at the same time tomorrow, I'll give you a discount because you're family and I've already worked with you in another situation. I said, just let me know if you want to proceed. And they were like, okay, out of everything, because it was a husband wife team, I said, out of everything, she was like, what do you think we really need her for right now? And I said, well, first, what you need is to revamp your show, because if we were, and I told them, I'm like, I wouldn't work on their social media or their YouTube, even though people want that. They want that. They want that. I want to work on the product. The product is a show that needs to sell the business. That's the strategy. And then they were yes, 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 and yes. And this is what I'll do. And within 30 minutes, I said, just hit me up. And I sent them a nice follow up. This is what we talked about, because I use AI in my sessions. They're going to get a recording. They can watch everything over again, which is something too. That's a tool. That's the level of excellence that I want to provide, because if you never work with me, I've given you a good 30, 40 minutes worth of do-it-yourself steps. And if you find yourself in a snag, you'll specifically know what you need me for. And then I can my zone of genius is, and we're going to hit that at the highest level and get it done. That's how I work.
So as far as your packages, is it just you just figure out? I know you said you
I
mentioned you can.
customize. I don't
Okay.
figure. Okay, I mean,
Yeah,
use the
that's
right.
what I meant.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
No,
sorry,
no, no, no.
customize.
But that's a good word, a way of saying it. I don't figure out. I customize based upon your need. If you only need an hour, I'm not going to force you to do a 12-month package. I want to find out, what do you need to make the transformation? And based on, and this is something I learned through trial and error, because I was looking at everybody else when I got in this consulting coaching space, and everybody was doing 3-month packages, 6-month practice, 12 months masterclass. It's like, baby, my gift is transformation. I'm going to help you get the work done so that you can get to the next level. And if you need me down the road, you'll know, oh, Christy is not going to waste my time or my money. And then I can go on to the next person and assist them and build from there. There are things that I wish I could do more consistently, and we might do it. Dear Shamika, you got me out here on these internet streets. Maybe we should do a group session for those who are listening, and we actually do some deep dives, and therefore it can be more cost effective, as opposed to one person. We can come up with, and I'm gonna let dear Shamika, you come up with something for your amazing um, supporters, and say, we're going to do some deep dives. Come with your real life situations. And we will customize in that session, maybe more than 5, 6 people.
How many people are we gonna open this up
No more
to?
than 10. Because
Okay.
I like to be personal.
So maybe I need to open it up to the people on this call first.
Yes.
And then you guys get first dibs, and then I open it
Yes.
up to the general public. So even if they're on
Let's
my
do that.
Facebook page, if I see you've tuned in or you commented, so if you have not commented, because a
10.
comment is
Let's
the
make
only
it 10. The elite 10. We're going to make it the elite 10.
Okay.
The elite 10. We will
Okay.
do a group session for the elite 10 that dear Shamika handpicks, and we will do a deep dive. But you need to come. I believe in working. I don't. Now this is more of a Q&A, but I would actually say, let's look at your website. Let's look at your social media. Let's look, where are you now, Keisha? Now I'm for free. Well, dear Shamika,
No, it's not gonna be free.
okay.
It'll be a pay, because this is free. Really, this is something she did for me, and I'm super grateful she did, because this was not supposed to be free. So it won't be
And one
free.
reason why I opted to do it this way is because something you asked me. Well,
That's
something
a
you.
good question though, Keish.
Yeah. No.
Oh no, it'll have to be. So Christy lives out of town. Oh, I love her. She was saying we could do it at her space for free. So Christy doesn't live
Hey,
in
where's she at?
Memphis.
Hey, we can do it both ways. Y'all want to fly me
Christy,
in?
you gonna fly out? I can't afford you.
Wait a minute. Oh, well, and then we just said
We gonna pay
fly
for
out.
Christy to
I don't
fly
know.
out too.
I might need to get a chauffeur to drive me back in. Lord Jesus.
I'm so
Woo.
we'll do it
But
virtually.
now, no. I work very well virtually. You'll be amazed how much work we can
I
get
get that.
done.
Yeah, I get that, Big Kids. Christy doesn't live in Memphis. is what I was saying. Christy lives
Yeah,
out of town,
I
y'all.
low key slipped out of the city
She's
last
in Atlanta, is what
in
I
the
was saying.
metro Atlanta area, and I'm making some moves that I'll be telling you all about. That's going to take me up a little. I'm about to find another adventure.
I can't fly her. She said we're gonna fly her out. No, ma'am. I was just playing, Chris. But yeah,
Wait a
thank
minute,
you.
no, right now I don't want to fly nowhere. I just
I
y'all just
can't
we
afford
gonna
to
meet.
fly. I can't afford to fly myself out.
Right now. Let's do a virtual. Come the elite 10, no more than 10 people. I'm gonna let Shamika handpick you all. Yeah, it would be a virtual session, but I work virtually. Most of my clients are all around the country. Even have somebody I need to follow who was in the UK that I met in Dallas.
Mhm.
Um, and I need to follow her. This is February, so this is around the time. So I would want you to come with your most pressing need, the thing that you need to resolve to make the jump. And what I would teach you is how to tell your story more effectively, like the real story, the one that's relevant, the one where you are authentic and where you are transparent about the thing that needs to be told to improve your brand and build your brand and boast your brand. I would also teach you how to control the narrative. So when you are in interview such situations and they ask questions that are not on your brand or they take you down the rabbit hole, you will learn how to bring the interviewer back to what you want to talk about. And the other thing I would teach you how to do is how to really maximize media by changing your mindset, understanding the importance of your appearance, inner and outer, and how to incorporate more of your zone of genius and your life experiences in what you talk about that will make you a media darling. Like they will always want you to come back. They will
Mhm.
always want to talk to you. And we can put her on the big screen and you can, yes, honey. Okay, Keisha J, I love you too. I'm like Shamica, I love you. She on point. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah,
That's
and
it.
this session will actually be closed after 24 hours. So if you guys want to take advantage of it, make sure to take advantage of it. After 24 hours, there will be a cost to it.
This Shamika ain't playing with y'all. She
No,
like,
we can't. We ain't playing this year. We can't because it's valuable advice, and we can. It kind of goes back to what I was saying initially. We have to get paid. You know what I mean? You give out so much free advice. It'll stay free for 24 hours. So make sure, take note,
they're your
absorb
friends,
it, but
honey.
but after the 24 hours, there will be a cost. And you'll still be able to take advantage of it because really Christy just dropped amazing gems. And Keisha said she's gonna bring us on the big screen. I'm excited about it because it just sounds good.
I know. And she said, and you can co-host from the space. I totally love it.
Okay,
So it's
cool.
going to be an Elite 10 experience hosted by dear Shamika. And yes, and I want you to come with what you really need to do. Be very, very, very specific. Like, okay, I want to work on this, and we will work on it.
Hmm.
But
And
come
it
ready, come ready, come ready to work.
Christy, how long are we gonna keep it open to? Because it's 10, but it's on a first come first serve
Correct.
basis. So I'll
Correct.
open it up to you guys initially, but then we'll go off first come first serve. So then I'm gonna open it up, maybe leave it up a couple of
Mhm.
days to you guys exclusively, and then it'll open up to the public, and whoever fills those 10 spaces will get the space.
Okay, so day being the 24th, definitely by the 28th, we need to have our 10. And I'm gonna let you and Keisha J, do the who, what, when, and where. And I'm available. So
Okay.
once you all nail it down, I'm gonna also, because you're hosting it, I'm coming in as a guest lecturer and trainer and Rockstar Media Coach. You set the price, you set the parameters, all the things, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to shine. And I'm going to give you all an opportunity. Yeah, show up and shine, honey. That's how I gain the confidence. Also, I would be remiss. The secret to my truest sauce is the power of self talk and affirmation. The story you have to tell the world has to be told to you first.
Hmm.
Okay. The anchor of your soul is the positive self talk and the power of affirmation. Okay. All right. I would be remiss to not tell you all that. That's this. They say the special spices in yeah. My secret sauce is self talk and affirmations. Hmm.
And also, if you guys were in this chat, because I want I'm trying to figure out how I can. Does everyone? Let me drop my email in the.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Because you're gonna have to launch a
So just
page or
email
something.
me if you're interested, and I'll
Yeah,
just
drop an
open it
email.
up to the people that email me, and then I open it up to the general public. So even if you don't email me, it'll still be open to you. Let's see. I'm not tech savvy at all.
So yeah, you might need to put your email in the chat.
Uh-huh. Let's see.
So today being Monday, it's still Monday. By Wednesday, we should have our 10. And then if not by then you can open it up and by the 28th before we move into March 1st. Uh, yeah, I'm excited.
Let me see. Let me
This is
see.
beautiful. And let me say this, and I brought up at the beginning of this, like I said, one of my friends who's in media, she sent me that clip and just some of the captions that's happening with Isaac Hayes III as he is, seeking to raise funds for fan base and having that online dispute. Um, I also want to say that in addition to avoiding clashes online, as your media coach, I want to say also be very, very aware that in the political climate and the social climate, that it's going to be imperative when it comes to what you say online, what you do online, what you post online, particularly if you are trying to build businesses, because they're already trying to find ways to turn off the money flow to help us build our businesses. So don't do anything or say anything that would be detrimental. And one of the things that Shamica kept saying is that people are oversharing and they are basically messing up their brands. Are you tearing your own brand down by the words that you're speaking? First to yourself, the words that you're speaking to yourself, the things that you're saying to others about your business and your brand, the things that you're saying online that could be detrimental to your brand, and also just to the general population who could be, in many, many cases. I'm also, my sister loves TikTok and, of course, Hillman Talk. Yeah, I know about Hillman Talk. And just how the overexposure of what we do can also lead to people who want to hack and undermine copyright things that we do online. So just be very, very aware. And as someone who's trying to help you learn not just to be in media, but all forms of media, from traditional to new media to social media, is protect yourself, protect your brand, um, and do it in such a way that your future self would be proud of the decisions that you made. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, guys. Thanks, you guys. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
watching. This will stay free
Thank you.
for 24 hours, so make sure to revisit. It will lock up, but even though it lock up, we'll let you know the link so that you can pay and still access the video.
All right. Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Catherine. Thank you, Elena. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to share. Thank you,
No
dear
worries.
Shamica. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. And there are an abundance of people already texting me. So if you're
Thank
interested
you.
in the
Okay. Thank you.
paid course, it'll be more centered around her ask for those of us who have a faith base. Okay, we got one more question.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Joycelyn Wilson. Hey, Joycelyn. Oh, for those of us who have a faith-based brand, is there a line between testimony and oversharing? And the answer is still the similar to, is it relevant to the audience? If you have a faith-based brand and you're selling it to the faith community, definitely your testimony will be advantageous because they're going to buy based on the testimony. If you're more in a, I would say, what they call a non-faith-based environment. Yeah, no, I came from gospel. I came from gospel and gospel radio, but being able to show up in the room and still speak about inspiration, um, and being inspired, and also everybody understands the power of faith, even if you don't say the word God. My belief system, my faith in myself and the higher power and God and all that is. There are ways that we speak as we would to a child, to help them understand that what we do is inspired, because I'm inspired, because that was one of the things Shamika said from our last interview. I did a lot of talk about God, a whole lot, because I literally am not here without God, like legitly, like alive, like literally alive. And also understanding how the breath that God has given me each time I say a word, each time I say something positive to myself, that is God giving me breath and giving me life so that I can be here to share and do good in the world. So, Joycelyn, that's how I would say that I am definitely an inspired person. I do believe in the power of God and prayer and all things righteous, integrity. That's why excellence is important to me, because that is your truest recognition of integrity, is how you apply yourself in the world and the things that you do. Not taking shortcuts to the craft. Just don't take a long time around the mulberry bush to let the world know that you're here. But don't shortchange yourself or the world in how you apply yourself. So yeah, for those who have a faith-based brand, testimony, and I will say this, and this is, there was a prophetess who had a big sermon, No More Sheets, one of the largest platforms ever, and some of the things that she shared in that message was so revealing that it shocked the church world. Out of that, a lot of people wanted to go into shock and awe in the church and just start sharing, when I was a child, and oftentimes the audience was, you have to be inspired and anointed to do things, particularly when it's talking about faith. And you can tell if the audience cannot handle it, and if there are children present and all those types of things. Just just be aware of the audience, and it's irrelevant. And does the audience care? It goes back to what I said from the top. Do they care? Do they care, or do they just want what you're selling?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys.
You're
So
welcome.
I'll make this last announcement. If you guys, so Christy has given us the fortune of borrowing her again at a fee, but at a very reasonable fee. So
Very.
if you guys are interested in learning more about that, make sure that you are emailing me. If you have my number, make sure to text me. Already have a couple of people that have already reached out. We're limiting it to 10 people,
The
and it will
elite
be on
10.
a first come first serve basis as far as payment goes. So the first 10 people to pay will be the first ones take advantage. Once those 10 people pay, then that class will be closed.
Yes.
All right. The elite 10.
That's it, honey.
So yeah, and we're gonna open it up to you guys first. So I'm gonna open it up sometime tomorrow. Just make sure to email me, and I'll also make another announcement. I don't know. So since it's only open to you guys,
Yeah, you need to at least
email
give
me
them
if
to
you're
Wednesday.
interested before I
Give
open
them
it
to at
up to the
least
public.
Wednesday. I said, let those who
Give
have
them
hung out with
time.
us. Yeah,
Okay.
let those who've been hanging out with us almost 2 hours. Give them to at least Wednesday.
What's the name? Okay.
Today's
We'll give
Monday,
you, yeah, Wednesday. Okay.
6 p.m.
Wednesday at 6, and then I'll
That's
open it up to the public.
correct.
All right. And make sure you email me your information so I know you're interested. Thank you
Love
so much,
y'all.
Chrissy Taylor. Thank you,
Thank you.
Keisha. Thank you, Vic Skiers. Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you,
Dr.
Jocelyn.
Amelia. I
Thank
know I'm
you.
missing some people. If you attended this chat, my cousin, she's a part of it. So thank you, Veranda. Thank everyone who attended this, and we'll see you
No
guys
problem.
later.
All right. Much love, everybody.
Valencia.
Blessings.